Hello, our nightmarish creatures. On behalf of Decay and myself, we just wanted to say that we hope that you had a wonderful Christmas and thank you for your loving support. And now, on to tonight's creepy tale.
We thought it was the most beautiful thing ever. My partner and me. I'm a lesbian, and I used to be married until we found that fucking rose. No. Until I found it. Our anniversary was coming up, and I just wanted to surprise her. I mean, genuinely surprise her. I wanted it to be special. Something she would never see coming. She'd always be able to figure out what I'd get her every year. I hated being so predictable. To be honest, I kind of stumbled on the rose. I was frustrated that she'd be able to figure out what I planned again. I decided to take a walk to cool off. It was dusk at the time and getting dark soon. There's a trail near our house that I used to like walking on. It was while whiling on it did it make itself known to me. That isn't much of an exaggeration. I came across a clearing. The way it glistened under the moonlight was mesmerizing. At the center of it was the rose. I wasn't going to take it at first. Other than thinking it was odd for only a single rose to be here, it didn't strike me as unique. However, the more I stared, the more I realized there was something unusual about it. By illuminating it with my phone's flashlight, I discovered that it was completely black. I couldn't believe it. I'd heard of them, but I never found any confirmation that they existed until then. I pictured how it would look sitting in a vase on our kitchen table. Then I got the idea that Laura would love it as a gift. I wanted it to be in perfect condition when I gave it to her, so I cut it free with my pocket knife. We used to live in a rough area, and I've kept carrying one out of force of habit. I never would have been able to get out of that hellhole if it weren't for her. How did I repay her for it? By giving her that nightmare. That's the best way to describe it. A nightmare that lures you by appearing pleasant. I wish I knew. I would have burned it if I did. She looked so happy when I showed it to her. She apologized for being so nosy and ruining the anniversary surprise. I said I was sorry for storming off earlier. We hugged and, after putting the rose in some water, went to the restaurant I'd gotten reservations at. We had a great night. We laughed like we did when we first started dating. The next day, I noticed she was acting kind of strange. She kept sniffing the rose. I asked her why she kept doing that. It just smells so nice, she had told me in a tone that sounded almost dreamlike. Besides that, I didn't notice anything odd about it. I even smelled it a few times and it didn't make me feel weird. However, the longer it was in our home, the more I began to realize something may not be right with it. Laura went from obsessed with it to outright addicted over the course of a month. Getting her to part ways with it was almost impossible. I even grew more drawn to it. She wasn't wrong. It does smell really nice. It's still clutched tight against her chest. Not that she can let it go. It changed while we slept. I woke up in the middle of the night to hear what sounded like writhing coming from her side of the bed. My initial thought was that a snake had somehow gotten in the house. This was already frightening enough, so imagine the terror I felt when I saw what was under the sheets. The rose had grown. Several thick vines had sprouted from it. They were covered in thorns and had embedded themselves in Laura's skin. I was mortified when I saw this. I could see its vines moving under her skin. Whatever that rose is, it is alive. It's a predator. I tried waking her up only to realize she would never be waking up again. With horror, I realized that she was rotting away. Underneath the vines, I could see parts of her melting flesh. It didn't take me long to realize she wasn't breathing. In fact, from the looks of it, she'd been dead for hours. The only solace I have is that she seems to have died happy. She's still smiling, even despite how much of her has rotted away. That hasn't gone away yet. I'll make sure it doesn't. I'll make sure that it is the last part of her I ever see. I only wish I could see her eyes one last time. The rose causes hallucinations. I know Laura saw them because I have. Only hers are far more pleasant. It sprayed something on my face. I didn't see it coming. I was trying to see if I could pull the rose off her. That only succeeded in ripping off a piece of her skin. As I did, I felt something misty spray my face. I looked at it. My heart stopped when I saw a grinning mouth with needle-like green thorns making up its teeth. I could have sworn I saw it grinning at me. Something far worse greeted me when I turned from the bed. Twisted shadows covered the walls. Despite knowing they're hallucinations, they still terrify me. I still see them. They say things. They say things we used to hear back in high school about how we were freaks. One even sounded like Susan, that fucking bitch who outed us. You can believe me when I say we got her back for it. She never did so much as even glance in our direction after that. Now, though, I can hear her mocking laughter and those insults. Hearing my parents say them makes me feel the worst of all. I haven't spoke to them in over 4 years. I wonder what they'll think when we're found. Probably that I was possessed. That's what they thought when they found out about my preference. Laura's parents weren't much better. Both of our parents threw us out. It took 2 years of working to the bone to save up enough to get a place of our own. We were only able to do this by working together. Those times have filled my head with memories of struggle. However, there were also ones of happiness. It was only a month after we moved in that I proposed. We were both so happy, but now I only have fear and regret. I'm starting to rot away too. I'm already seeing parts of my body turn black. Thorns keep poking out of me. They come out one at a time, each one causing me excruciating pain. Each time they do, I feel myself losing strength. That's why I'm typing this up, because I need to warn others who may find a black rose. Do not touch it. Burn it if you can. That's something I'm going to do after I post this. There are some matches and a lighter in the kitchen. I'll use them to make sure that thing turns to ash, and not only it. I can feel it moving in me as well. It's grown out of Laura's body and is taking up most of our bedroom. I don't want to know how much it would spread if I let it. Small vines have begun poking out of me. They almost seem to have a mind of their own, and I fear if I allow them, they'll take me over. They feel so wrong. Each time they wiggle, I want to cut them out. But that wouldn't do me any good. The only thing I can do now is make sure it dies here. I'm sorry, Laura. If it weren't for me, this wouldn't be happening. It's too late now. I'll go to her now and cover the room with lighter fluid. Then after I've struck the match, I'll hold her hand as the flames spread, consuming us both. Can anything be more beautiful?